One request and reminder to the yogis, that is to listen to the talk with interest, carefully and respectfully, because you are listening to receive the correct practice in order to weaken, overcome the defilements such as raga, dosa, moha, craving, aversion and delusion, even to the point of no return, uprooting them. So it is requested to listen carefully without distraction, so that you can take every word to heart. If you are not fully aware of the correct practice, then you may be practiced for a long time, consuming time, but there will be no fruit. It will not bear any fruit. It will only take time. So yogis are requested and reminded, when the Dhamma gift is being given with loving kindness, it should be received, so that it will be worth giving and receiving. In this way, this metta, loving kindness, will continue to be extended among ourselves, and it will be all beneficial for both the giver and the receiver. So please listen with keen interest, without any distraction. Yesterday, while touching on briefly on the first of the 4 Guardian meditations, Chaturareka Bhavana, namely Buddha Nosati, recollection of the Buddha's quality, we said about Buddha's enlightenment or awakening, in a sense blossoming the light of wisdom. Now its natural characteristic is knowing all things without remainder, knowing things which are knowable, which should be known, without any remainder. As soon as light comes, darkness goes. Once the light comes, with the realization, the highest realization of the Arahata Mega Phala, the birth and fruition of the holiness, all kilesas, impurities, darkness are said to be eradicated, are overcome. So among all these impurities, there's moha, delusion, bewilderment, lack of clarity, or avijja, ignorance, is the most serious one. So once this serious or most important delusion, impurity, namely moha or avijja, delusion or ignorance, is eradicated. Now there are 2 kinds of ignorance: simple unknowing and misperception. These 2 things are said to be eradicated to the point of no return. Once this moha, delusion, is overcome and eradicated, there's no more ignorance, no more simple unknowing, no more simple misperception. So if the Buddha reflects upon a situation, he knows. There's nothing that he doesn't know if he reflects. That is the meaning. Like when illumination arises, when there is illumination, there will be no more darkness. Darkness will be gone. So that once this ignorance or delusion is eradicated, there is nothing that the Buddha doesn't know if he reflects upon it. And he realizes Sarvanyuta Jnana, or omniscient knowledge, together with other qualities, with the attainment of the highest realization of the Arahata Mega Phala. Today, we would like to continue on this subject. Today, I would like to discuss on the three qualities of this omniscient knowledge, Sabinyutta Jnana. Now, Sabinyutta Jnana is made up of Sabba, means all, without remainder, Nyutta, knowing, Jnana is knowledge. So, knowledge to know all things without remainder. So, whenever the Buddha reflects upon a situation, there's nothing that he does not know. Hence, this expression, Sabinyutta Jnana, omniscient knowledge. There are three qualities in this Sabinyutta Jnana. First of all, knowing everything without remainder, everything knowable, which should be known without any remainder. Knowing the method of teaching, the states which are already known. Is knowing the variety of ways or means to preach things which are already known. The example is the teaching of the Paticca the doctrine of the chain of dependent or interdependent arising, teaching in descending order, that is, from the avijja, ignorance, down to jara-marana, soka, that is, in descending order. Or, that is Anuloma method in Pali, Anuloma method of teaching. Or Patiloma method of teaching, that is in reverse order, beginning with the end part of this chain of dependent arising, that is from the jara-marana, soka, coming back to avijja, ignorance. That is Patiloma method in reverse order. Or from the middle of this chain to the beginning of the chain, or to the end of the chain. In this way, in descending and ascending order, he was able to teach in a variety of ways. Such is what is meant by this knowing a variety of ways to present the teachings. The third quality of this Sabinyutta Jnana, omniscient knowledge, is knowing the tendencies, ijasaya, or propensities of the beings which are to be liberated, which are worthy to be liberated. Knowing the maturity or otherwise of the faculties of these beings who are worthy of liberation, worthy to be liberated, and then knowing the extent of their impurities such as raga, craving, or lust, or attachment. So this is the third quality of Sabinyutta Jnana. So it becomes necessary to continue to discuss about the systematic way of using this omniscient knowledge, which has these three qualities, in order to benefit the beings. Because of these three qualities of the Sabinyutta Jnana, which he has gained, whenever he came across the beings who are worthy of being liberated, either it may be just one person or more than one person, many persons, he was able to understand the maturity or otherwise of the faculties such as saddha, panya, and so on, and their characters such as craving, raga, lust, whether they have much craving or not. He was able to distinguish between these things, and in this way, by knowing them, he was able to preach the Dhamma to suit their faculties and their characters. In this way, just as we say, when we can prescribe the correct medicine for the correct disease, then one can be cured of that disease. So also, by being able to prescribe the correct teachings to the correct people, that means knowing their faculties and so on. He was able to rid the beings of the defilements or impurities such as raga, dosa, which have been with them all along their lifetimes. And beings who are liberated in this way are innumerable. Let us say there's a professor of medicine or specialist in medicine. He or she studies science, medical science, gets credit, scores much credit, until he or she becomes, she graduates from the college, gets a certificate, and later take up this apprenticeship in hospital, house surgeon, and so on, taking up medical training, learning the method of treatment, gaining experience year by year, until he or she becomes experienced, skilled in the method of treatment, both from the theoretical and practical aspects. So whenever he or she comes across a sick person, a patient, the root cause of the disease will be investigated from his or her knowledge and experience, and will prescribe suitable medicine, and using different variety of methods that he or she already knows, so that the patient is cured of that disease and the disease is uprooted. So also the Buddha gained this knowledge known as Sabbajuta Jnana, omniscient knowledge. So once he comes across a being or beings, he would understand their desires, their faculties, maturity or otherwise of their faculties and their characters. So he was able to teach suitably the suitable teachings in accordance with their desires, faculties and characters. So that, because just like the right medicine for the right disease, the beings who are liable, who are worthy of liberation, become convinced, and at once he, she or they gained insight, attaining the first path, second path, third path, and the final holiness. And we are practicing such teachings. The Buddha has found it by himself and has already tested as being successful, and the teachings are still alive. We are undertaking this practice. So we should be very encouraged about this, that the medicine which is prescribed is in accordance with the disease. So we are bound to be cured of our kilesa diseases. Let us say, the Buddha has always said, be diligent, strive on with diligence, be mindful, don't be negligent, guard your mind with vigilant mindfulness. So if one cannot sustain sati, then what will happen? The impurities will enter your stream of consciousness without any hindrance. As much as you are able to sustain mindfulness, kilesas will not have the chance to enter your stream of consciousness. That's why when the yogis are instructed to watch the abdomen and note rising and falling with sustained mindfulness, with application of energy and proper focusing, as much as they are able to apply mindfulness, the mindfulness will become stronger and stronger. Even for one moment of mindfulness, just imagine when you are able to sustain your mindfulness on the object of meditation. Just imagine When your mind is accompanied with this mindfulness, sustained mindfulness, raga or any impurities have no chance of entering your stream of consciousness. Neither will there be any aversion, dosa or ill will, nor any other mental impurities, so that the mind will become pure and clear. So as much as you are able to activate your mindfulness, there will be no impurities. The mind will be free of impurities. You are developing this practice. It is a good practice. Hence the name Bhavana, mind development. If you just think about it, you can understand. It's very obvious. It is very pragmatic. As much as you are able to practice, you are bound to weaken these impurities or be free from these impurities. Now the Buddha has eradicated all these impurities to the point of no return with the path of holiness, Aradhammaga. And he was able to understand at the same time with the realization of this highest holiness, the faculties of the beings, their propensities and their characters, so that he was able to prescribe the teachings to fit in with these faculties, propensities and characters. As for Sayadaw himself, he said he has not attained any Sampajutta Jnana, omniscient knowledge like the Buddha, so that he is not able to see like the Buddha. However, he was teaching from the Buddha's method and his teacher's method and his own experience in his own method, although it is not so efficient as the Buddha. Now the question is, to what extent has the Buddha applied his omniscient knowledge, Sampajutta Jnana, to the extent of until the time of his Mahaparinibbana, the great passing away, that is the death. He has done this not because he is expecting any respect or veneration from the beings, including Devas and Brahmas, nor does he want to be popular, nor does he want any following. But he applied the Sampajutta Jnana based on Mahakaruna, great compassion, compassionate feeling. This Sampajutta Jnana is very effective. He surveyed during his 45 years of ministry, he surveyed the world, that means the world of beings, whether they are worthy to be liberated with his teachings, until his final days of Mahaparinibbana, the great passing away. Surveying their ijasya, that is propensities, indriya, faculties and characters, and prescribe his teachings to fit in with these faculties, propensities and so on. Like the medical specialist we have just described, the specialist applies his or her knowledge and experience, but it may not be with Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling like the Buddha. It may be for the sake of popularity and for the sake of money in all aspects, in many cases, in most cases. It is not so with the Buddha. He did not expect any material return from the beings he tried to liberate, or he tried to liberate, or he liberated. He did it with Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling. Because the beings are subject to ignorance, not knowing the truth, knowing in a wrong way, so that they commit wrong things physically, verbally and mentally, and they are suffering. Knowing them, he wants to put them on the right path so that they realize the truth and be free from ignorance. Just like the specialist, medical specialist giving the right medicine for the right disease so that the patient can be cured of the disease. And as for the Buddha, he was just prescribing the right remedy for the right propensities and so on. There's no other expectations. So the teachings are based on Mahakaruna, the great compassionate feeling. And that is how he applied his Sabijuddha Jnana omniscient knowledge until the time of his great passing away. As for the Buddha, out of 24 hours a day, he took only 3 hours rest at the maximum in the day and night time. As for the rest of 21 hours, he devoted to the teachings of surveying the world of beings with his Sabijuddha Jnana. At the time of his dying moment, this Paripajaka, wandering ascetic known as Subhadda, came to him asking questions, and the Buddha was able to teach him, give him the right medicine, so that this Paripajaka, wandering ascetic, Subhadda, was able to realize the highest holiness of arhatship. And after that, he gave this admonishment to his disciples, Abmadena Sabbadeta. Strive on with diligence with the practice of the 3 trainings, Sila Samadhi Pinya, so that you are, the monks or disciples are fulfilled with these 3 trainings. This was his last admonishment. And after that, the Buddha was absorbed in jhana samapatti, attainment of jhanas, all jhanas. Just like we bid farewell to our dear friends, beloved ones when we are departing, so also the Buddha was absorbed in the jhanas and all the jhanas completely, like bidding farewell to what he had attained in his lifetime. Though the Buddha has attained Mahaparinibbana, passed away, he has taught, given the teachings within his 45 years of ministry, with his Sabijuddha Jnana, omniscient knowledge, which was based on Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling. This kind of teaching is known as Dhamma Vinaya, teaching and discipline, Dhamma discipline, which is still alive today. The Dhamma uplifts the Dhamma practitioner. It does away with the debasement. That means it uplifts. It is an uplifting Dhamma, overcoming the physical, verbal, mental misbehaviors. That is the Dhamma, the teachings, which uplift the beings. And then the Vinaya, the discipline, to cultivate the beings. And they are still alive even today, because they are practitioners. So long as there are people, there are individuals who are practicing this Dhamma Vinaya, Dhamma discipline, the Dhamma discipline is still alive. During his lifetime, the Buddha was just one individual who was spreading his teachings. But now, he had left behind 84,000 Dhammakandas, Dhammas. So there are 84,000 teachers. If you take one Dhammakanda as one teacher. So at the time of his great passing away, his personal attendant Ananda was grieving because of his impending death, Parinirvana. At that the Buddha called him and consoled him by saying that there are these Dhamma discipline. Being separated from dear people, beloved one, is suffering. So one has got to prevent this suffering from arising. And if there is any suffering also, one should be able to withstand. One should have the energy, stamina to be able to withstand this kind of suffering. So the mind must be energized. And the method is this practice to energize the mind. So during the Buddha's time, there was only one Buddha. Out of his 24 hours, he took rest only for a few hours, and the rest of the time was devoted to working for the benefit of all beings. So after his death, he left behind this Dhamma Vinaya, Dhamma discipline, Dhamma which is the uplifting teachings, and the discipline which gives culture to all beings. So they are left behind as teachers to show the true path. So although the Buddha is not no more, he has left behind the teachings which are recited and recorded throughout the great councils, from the time of first great council to the time of sixth great council, Sangha council. Moreover, there are individuals who are practicing this Dhamma Vinaya. So long as the Dhamma Vinayas, the practitioners are still alive, or there is the practice of this Dhamma Vinaya, the Dhamma Vinaya can be said to be still alive. This strength and life depends on the practitioners. As for the practitioners, they are basically grounded in their practice of, say, discipline, that is physical and verbal conduct, depending on the kind of individual, the monks and laity. As much as they sustain this discipline, disciplinary conduct, they are bound to be cultured physically and verbally, so that there will be life in it. So this disciplinary conduct gives life, so that it will not be wounded and the thing will not die off. It is very important. Vinaya, discipline, is the lifeblood, and Buddha has given that. Furthermore, we have Siddhanta discourses or teachings, especially this Satipatthana Bhavana, to cultivate concentration and wisdom, Panya, Samadhi and Panya, so that it will become more alive. It will strengthen the life. With concentration, the life will be strengthened. With Panya, also, the life will be uplifted. With Vinaya, it gives life. This is the basic discipline. And as much as we practice discipline or sustain discipline, there is bound to be this life. And with the Satipatthana, with the practice of Satipatthana, it will strengthen the life. Like when a child is born, a baby is born, the time of birth is momentary. It is alive at that time, but it is necessary to nurture and protect this baby, to strengthen and develop this baby, so that it grows older and older and continues to live. So also, Vinaya gives life, and this practice of Satipatthana Bhavana strengthens this life, nurtures this life. So in order to be fulfilled with that, one has to have this life in terms of this Vinaya, and then the practice of Satipatthana to strengthen or develop this life so that it continues to live. So up to this time there are these individuals, this kind of practice, Dhamma, Vinaya and Satipatthana, depending on the practitioners. And so long as there is a practice of these Dhamma, Vinaya and Satipatthana, the Buddhist culture is bound to be alive and be strengthened. Out of this, just to touch on this Dhamma teachings, there are three parts of this Dhamma: the method of practice, the correct method of practice, and the actual practice, and the benefit or fruit of the practice. Now this quality of the Dhamma, out of 6 qualities, we have this Svagata, meaning well preached is the Dhamma, which is the first of the 6 qualities. The Buddha has preached in such a way that the benefit or the fruit and the correct method is concurrent, is consistent. Knowing the correct method, if one undertakes the practice in accordance with that method, one is bound to reap that benefit. Sure to reap the fruit of the practice. Hence this quality of the Dhamma, Svagata, well preached is the Dhamma, which is the first of the 6 qualities of the teachings. Let us give this example. Now the Buddha has said to abstain from killing. Now if you follow this to the letter of the law, abstain from killing, just imagine your physical behavior will become pure. You are able to control and overcome this aversion, dosa, ill will, so that you are free from dosa, aversion, ill will. You become physically pure. So in this way your physical behaviors will become cultivated, blameless, gentle and affable. You abstain from this physical misbehavior, since your behaviors will become pure, blameless, gentle, affable. This is the immediate benefit of the practice of this discipline, abstaining from killing. You are not harming others, at the same time not defiling yourself. You are said to be uplifted. You are said to have sustained your dignity. So this is the immediate benefit, so that the practice and the benefit are consistent. They are quite beneficial. They are meaningful. You are not defiling yourself. You are upkeeping your precepts and honor, personal dignity. At the same time, you are not harming others. In this way, it is like accomplishing 2 things by just doing one thing. Such is the quality of the Dhamma, Svagata. Well preached is the Dhamma. So this is just touching on the physical conduct alone. If you are able to practice other trainings like Samadhi Sekha, concentration training and Panya training, you are bound to purify your mind with the deepening of concentration, so that your mind will become pure, blameless, affable and gentle and cultivated. And with the development of insight, you will have more and more faith and confidence in the practice. In this way, developing your mind and insight, you are able to realize the kind of happiness which is good in itself, in its originality, without any variation or addition. You are getting this, you are bound to gain assured happiness. And when you are confronted with the worldly conditions, you will be able to withstand the ups and downs of life, the vicissitudes of life. There will be no gladness or sadness about desirable or undesirable objects. Your mind will become balanced and equipoised. you're set to be assured, you're set to be secured in your existence. So in this way, you can understand the consistency of the correct practice and the correct method and the practice and the benefit it accrues. So if you, in the course of the practice, you are bound to be convinced of this quality of the Dhamma, namely Svagata, well preached, is the Dhamma. This Svagata quality, the quality of Svagata, well preached is the Dhamma, can also be divided into three, as given in the text. As Adi Kalyana, good in the beginning, Majje Kalyana, good in the middle, and Pariyosana Kalyana, good in the end. As for the goodness in the beginning, if you listen with good motive, you are bound to, it is bound to cool your heat, mental heat. That means you'll be rid of mental worries, impurities. It'll calm your mind once you listen with good motive. Of course, that is only when you listen with good motive, not otherwise. And the goodness in the middle, Majje Kalyana, is the realization of Samatha Sukha and Vipassana Sukha. Samatha Sukha, tranquility of mind with the practice of concentration. And then Vipassana Sukha with the practice of insight knowledge. You'll become very satisfied with the practice. And as for the goodness in the end, Pariyosana Kalyana, if you are able to realize the path and fruition knowledge of the noble ones, Ariya, then you'll be able to face any eventualities in your life. You are said to have strengthened your stamina, mental stamina. Even if you come across worldly conditions, Loka Dhamma, you'll be able to face them, challenge any eventualities, whatever comes. Your mind will become balanced, and you are said to have benefited in your life. That is the last benefit. So in this way, the Dhamma has the quality of goodness in the beginning, middle and the end. Hence Svagata. Now yogis are also beginning to realize this kind of benefits, goodness in the beginning, if they listen with right motive. And as much as they practice, they are bound to attain calmness, tranquility of the mind with samatha, and the satisfaction with the Vipassana jnana, Vipassana sukha. And if they are able to progress through the stages of insight until you reach the climax of your knowledge, Nibbana, then you are bound to realize this, the end quality. You'll be more delighted, more satisfied with the practice. Such are the qualities of the Dhamma in three ways. So in this way, in the course of the practice, you need to protect yourself with the practice of the four Guardian meditations, as has been done in the past by the virtuous ones. And we should continue to sustain this tradition so that we are able to practice without any hindrance and be able to practice in peace and realize the benefit of the practice. So we have touched on since yesterday the recollection of the Buddha, Buddha Nusati. You can develop, you can reflect on one of the qualities. And today we touched on the quality of the Dhamma, and one of the Dhamma, 6 qualities of the Dhamma. And then if you practice like this, you will have a peace of mind. And even if you have some frightful or undesirable visions and thoughts in the course of the practice, you'll be able to overcome them and be able to practice in peace. Hence, out of these 4 Guardian meditations, we have dealt with the Buddha Nusati or Dhamma Nusati, recollection of the Buddha or recollection of the Dhamma, and as the first of the 4 Guardian meditations. That's all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.